we're here on the Pirate Broadcast, and we got another episode of interesting things, interesting people. And today we got Rob Deptford in, and we're going to be talking a little bit about video. And I want to make sure that you have a few questions out there and you're doing some things that, if you're thinking or considering video, reach out to Rob, get a Zoom session going, and have him, Q&A him and find out if it's a good fit for you and your business and video. So good morning, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing really well, Russ. How are you doing down there?
I'm doing better than average because,
I think you're warmer than I am. It's minus 15 in Calgary this morning, and that's Celsius. So for my American friends, that's about 4 degrees. So
that's too damn cold for me. That's all I got to say. Yes, it is warmer here in Arizona. It's been storming, and I woke up last night and I heard thunderstorms rolling through. So, which I kind of like that. I kind of like the weather, the transition in weather. And so it's not so bad, but I've spent winters in Canada before. I spent a winter in Canada. One. That's all I need. That's all I took.
That was enough.
That was enough. However, I was a ski bum for several years in Utah, in the mountains of Utah. So I know I'm okay with snow and I enjoy the snow, but just the cold weather, it's different. And wherever you are, you get used to it. That's why I've always been. So hopefully you're getting used to it.
It's normal for us, of course. And we love to ski as well. So that's the bright side of winter for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So tell us what you got going on. You're doing some video training and you got a few things happening in your world, and just give us a snapshot of what you're doing.
What isn't going on? Yeah.
You got kids, you got family, you got business, you got, you're
Sure.
running like the rest of us, right? You're doing some good things. So
Absolutely. Yeah. No, the video business is, to be honest with you, it's still relatively new. I sort of came up with this idea almost a year ago now. And I had been in the coaching space doing some leadership coaching and career transition coaching and things and enjoying that.
Yeah.
But thinking it was time for a change. I always encourage people to be proactively thinking about what's next. And so I thought, maybe I better be practicing what I'm preaching here.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea, Rob.
It's a good idea. Absolutely. This was something that I had sort of been watching what's been happening in the online space for some time. I'd been doing some video around my coaching business and recognizing that, people appreciated that. And looking at the digital space and LinkedIn in particular, right? Because that's where I spend most of my social media time. And when you look at some of the statistics, it's almost 600 million users. I think it's 260 million roughly active users, monthly active users.
Yeah.
But it's like 1% are creating content.
Which blows my mind away because that's all I see in my feed.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And so you wonder about the potential out there for people who are lurkers, right? So to speak, They're out there consuming all of our content. And they maybe have a small business or they're a consultant or a coach or something that could benefit from content marketing in essence. And maybe some video as a part of that, because we know video is a powerful tool. And so this to me was, got the wheels turning, and thinking about my previous lives, what feels like a previous life in broadcast, because people don't know. Some people know I started out in radio actually years ago. I was in my early 20s and I was a radio news director. So I had a skill set. I went to broadcast school and learned about radio and television and video. And I thought, maybe there's a chance to repurpose some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Combine that with the 20 years of marketing and communications and coaching and other things I've done as well. And here we are with EQ4 Media today. and helping other people get on camera is the hashtag, right?
Yeah, get on camera.
Get on camera.
Yeah.
Helping people overcome that initial fear, because it's there. Right? People are worried. People are worried about, how do I look? How do I sound? People are going to judge me. I'm not going to have the right kind of material. I'm not going to have enough content to share.
I need a new camera.
I need a new camera. Yeah, I'm afraid to press the red button. Right?
No, I can't flip. No, I'm not going to press the red button at all. So.
Yeah.
And that's what we were talking with Steve yesterday on the Pirate broadcast. Was some people just need permission. We were talking about it before the show started. Is sometimes we just need permission, and as a guide, and that's kind of how I refer you to as this guide, this Sherpa that can, give you permission, the authority. You have the authority to go forward and do a video. You can do this, and once we realize that we have the ability, the authority, and the permission to go forward, then it's just a matter of how can we show up. And I think authentically is the best way. Just be yourself and have a conversation just like this. I mean, this is video, and I mean, it doesn't take a lot to set up. I'm just sitting here and you're sitting there, and we're across the opposite sides of the continent, and here we are having a show, and it allows us a much different opportunity to have a conversation than ever before in the history of mankind. So, and humanity.
Yeah, it's tremendous.
It is tremendous.
Technology. I mean, when I was in broadcast school, we had a multi-million-dollar studio to create a television show.
And you had engineers that we were required to set things up and get all the connections made and make sure all the cables worked and everything.
Yeah. And, everything was on tape in those days, but now, I mean, if you got a smartphone, you're good to go. Yeah.
What's your smartphone? And speaking of smartphones, I want to acknowledge some smart people doing some wonderful things this morning because they're watching the Pirate broadcast live. Angie, Jessica, Lori, Sherry, Jordan, Vicky, all of you folks are just having an amazing day. And I just want to acknowledge and thank you and extend the gratitude I have for you joining live. And if you're unable to join live and you see this broadcast, we're talking to Rob Deptford. And is it EQ4 Media?
EQ4, yeah.
EQ4. And you can find his page on Facebook at EQ4 Media. So go check him out. Go like his page. Go follow him. And connect with him on LinkedIn as well, because I think what we're talking about here is utilizing video to your advantage. And Rob and I both have a little bit of experience and background in broadcast and understand the complexity that it used to have and the simplicity that it currently has. And I encourage you to start in video and creating content and sharing your gifts and your voice, because Rob, tell us why we want to share our voice. Tell us why. What's the motivation behind creating content and video?
Well,
what's your word?
For me, I think it's an opportunity to make a connection. And I tell people, make connections, not commercials, right? And you and I come from a time where, in business anyway, the idea behind marketing and the drive behind marketing was really push the product, right? Push the product, push the service. And we've transitioned into this space now where inbound marketing, so to speak, has exploded, and content is a big piece of that. And people really are in a space where they need to have an opportunity to get to know who they're going to do business with, or whatever the relationship is, but get to know that person and have a chance to build a little bit of trust with that person over a period of time before, at some point they sign up to do business with you, or they, whatever that turns out to be, they offer you an opportunity to talk about a job, perhaps.
Yeah.
Which is what LinkedIn started out as, right? Was for the job seekers. So this connection, you can see me, you can hear me, right? I'm
Yeah.
talking. I'm not talking to a piece of equipment. I'm talking through this window here to you, to the audience on the other side.
However, if we walked into a LinkedIn local event and saw each other across the room after we had completed some video transactions, right? Either on a Zoom session, or I broadcast or you broadcast, or we had a show like this together, we would know each other. We would have a connection immediately
Yeah,
compared to other people that we've never seen before. So, I
yeah.
mean, that's an incredibly powerful tool. And I don't want people to lose sight of the fact that there is something familiar with your personality right out of the gate as soon as you get on video.
It's tremendous. I've got a client I'm working with right now who's just done his first session. We're just doing one-to-one coaching, and the first thing he said to me when we signed on it was last Tuesday. He
Mhm.
said, "I feel like I know you." You know,
Yeah. Well, you've been broadcasting, you know, you said a year, and you've been doing these great videos. If you haven't watched Rob's videos, go back and watch some of Rob's videos, and you know, the insight that you have is, I think, very creative and helpful, and it's valuable information. So thank you for putting it out there, Rob. Just wanted to say that.
well, I appreciate that. I know I'm not a frequent poster like some people, but I try to get out there a couple of times a week at least, and I try to make it worth watching or listening to. So
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
yeah. So walk us through some of the things. I want to kind of go down a little different direction, you know, because one of the things that I think a lot of people struggle with, you know, they get overwhelmed by the technology, which, from somebody that comes from a background working with tech, it's less overwhelming. However, uh, you know, streaming on LinkedIn is a little different animal than streaming on Facebook or streaming on YouTube, because there are some different tools that are required. However, on Facebook, it's very easy to stream live. You know, the app you already have. You know, if you have the app on your phone, you just turn your phone on and put it up there. And there's a lot of controversy, or per preference, I'm going to say, not controversy. There's a preference over vertical video or horizontal video.
Hmm.
Uh, and have you noticed that, or do you notice that in the feed? And do you have any thoughts on that, or any recommendations that we can use uh, to improve video from our phone when we're just getting started? I mean, do you have
I,
any thoughts about that?
I think it's hip to be square, to be honest with you.
Hip to be square. You heard it here, folks. It's hip to be square.
But it's tough to do that on a smartphone, right? Smart, if you're starting out with your smartphone, you're going to get portrait or landscape,
Yeah.
and I think really the key is to think about the platform you're on. So you know, if you're putting something on IGTV, for example, on Instagram, well, then that's made for
You want it vertical, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
all vertical videos. So otherwise, Facebook, LinkedIn, I mean, the big platforms really are the way they're set up. They're quite friendly to either format, but I
Yeah.
prefer to go horizontal
Yeah.
typically to
I'm a
start.
horizontal kind of guy.
Yeah, I just like that it captures more of the image. So, you know, I talk to people about how, you know, the way people tend to start out, at least, is we're all just a talking head on the screen.
Right.
And and that's one of the elements, right? Is our presence on screen, but there are so many more elements that can enhance our video content. And one of those is imagery. And by filming in horizontal mode, that landscape mode, you can
Mhm.
capture more of whatever's behind you, and be thinking about what's behind you. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, is it imagery that can help you tell the story, deliver the message that you're trying to deliver? So for me, that would be my reasoning to be shooting in that landscape format, is to
Mhm.
capture more of that image.
We are seeing a lot more, you know, now that Instagram has went to the square format. And also I've noticed that the formatting in LinkedIn, uh, you can actually use a square image in your LinkedIn profile in your feed and utilize a square feed. And there's some applications that allow you to format it that way, and you can fill up the feed, and it does set you apart. And I think that the bigger question is, because we're all unique, like Vicky was saying, we all have our own voice, we have our unique individual experience and perspective. So if you can reflect any of that unique perspective or opportunity in your feed, and make it look a little different, and kind of snap attention to your video, it's better. I think anything you can do to improve that is going to help your feed. And actually, as people are scrolling through, the 2 second or the 1 second, 1 second and you're gone kind of thing. And if you can be unique in the feed, just as a thumbnail or anything like that, I think it's going to be helpful. However, the video needs to format that way as well as you're going through the video. And I don't know. I'm back and forth. I do like the square. I think it's hip to be square, although preference is horizontal right now. So that's my preference. So what other tips can you share with us to get newbies started out? So,
well, I think for newbies, the trick is just getting started, right? And getting over whatever that fear is or that obstacle that's been preventing you from getting started, because there is this tremendous opportunity if you do start to create content to get your message out there and to start helping people to get to know and trust you a little bit. Talking about some of the elements, I guess, of creating video as you grow once you get started.
mm-hmm.
It is imagery, it is format. There are some technical aspects, but for me, ways to stand out, imagery being a big part of it, timing, vocal modulation, right? All of these things that I think initially people don't really think about, and as much as conversations like this come off naturally, sometimes for people who haven't yet started, it's a good idea to go back to those fundamentals.
Okay. I guess I haven't thought about that for a while because I've been doing it for a while.
Well, if you think about it like this, I use Instagram as an example quite often, because if you're putting a video on Instagram on your main page, you've got a restriction of 60 seconds.
Yeah.
But you have a message to deliver. So how are you going to do that and confine it to 60 seconds or less? And so that's where you start thinking about some of the elements more strategically. How can I write my message in a way, or if I'm going to speak just off the cuff, how am I going to get my talking points out within that time frame? And a lot of people, I think, have trouble with timing in particular as they're starting out.
Absolutely. And now TikTok is out. A lot of people are and it goes back to storytelling, because I think storytelling is fundamentally the source of inspiration for anything we do to communicate, right? There has to be, like you said, there has to be an intent, there has to be a story, talking points. And when I was doing a lot of 2-minute tips, I always said 2-minute tips in 10 minutes or less. And it was a running joke, because it's like, okay, I would have an idea or a thought, and I would expand on that thought. The actual tip was very short. However, the expansion of that idea and talking about it sometimes took longer. Sometimes it took 2 minutes, sometimes it took 10 minutes. It didn't really matter. I was expanding on an idea that I wanted to share. And I think it is difficult and it is challenging sometimes to boil that down into very clear, concise points. And whether that's rehearsed in advance or off the cuff, either way, it still has, the end result has to be either 60 seconds or, you go live video and you run it for 4 hours. It doesn't, you have to, I think it has to do with intent on what your end product needs to be and what your message needs to be and how you're going to communicate it. So all these elements can be complex, and that's when you contact Rob and work through those ideas, right? Or
Yeah, well, it's interesting. You can work through these things, and like learning anything new, we go from this place of conscious incompetence, uh, to, to moving through a process where it becomes you are really unconsciously competent at the end, right? Once you've had some practice. So we start out by putting together, maybe it's a script, right? And it feels very contrived, but as you practice, it's interesting to watch people sort of transition into this space where now I'm talking in sound bites and I'm not even thinking about it. I'm able to fit my message into that 60-second restricted time frame if I have to. And it just comes with understanding that, these are the fundamentals and some practice, and it comes together.
yeah. Yeah, well, I've seen so many people get in, start, and realize that it does take work. It does take a lot of effort, and it does take consistency. And Vicky was saying she started under 3-minute tips, and it just didn't have enough people on YouTube. And yeah, I mean, it takes time to grow an audience, and it does take effort. And it's so discouraging when you've been doing it for months and months and months and nobody's showing up. So I think two things need to happen. You need to have a why. It's like, okay, I'm not just broadcasting here just to, some people do it. I did 2-minute tips kind of because it was therapy for me, and it's therapeutic because just thinking out loud and capturing it in a digital format to me is an exciting thing for the future. Hey, if people in the future could see this, or for my son and what he's doing in his life, and he could go back and say, wow, look what dad was doing back then. It's just, to me, it's a fascinating exercise in culture and what we're doing to capture ourselves in digital. This is the first generation of people that are going to be able to look back, and see what you did, see what took place, and, for generations to come potentially. And to me, that's fascinating, because I've always been fascinated with stories, and I've always been appreciative of stories. And so I love the idea of capturing information from people that are doing interesting things. That's the whole point of the Pirate Broadcast. Connecting with interesting people doing interesting things. It's like, it just fascinates me. So
that's a terrific tagline, by the way. I love that.
Angie mentioned that. She goes, that's a great tagline. So
yeah.
And I just love it. And thank you everyone for joining in. I truly do appreciate this. This for me is an exercise in highlighting other people around me. And I believe that if you can help the people around you grow, your life becomes richer. And so if we can actually bring this community together in video and storytelling and highlighting what others are doing, like Rob, it just helps us out. And I just thank you for being here. I do appreciate that. And Rob, thank you for being here and sharing your gifts and your message and what you're doing, because it is appreciated. I know time is our most precious commodity. So I want to respect that. So
absolutely. No, I appreciate it. Always enjoy chatting with you, Russ.
So what's in the future for Rob? What's going down the path for you? Now that you've had a year kind of exercising, adjusting and maneuvering through this process, what excites you, and what do you see in the future that you want to bring to the table that we can look forward to?
I think it's early enough in the business that I've kind of been heading down the runway a little bit, and I'm just at the point of takeoff. I'm feeling like I'm just at the point of takeoff. So business is starting to grow. Doing a little bit more one-to-one coaching with people and things like that, and working on some interesting projects too, just around production. putting together some polished and packaged pieces for some different businesses, spending some time in the editing suite doing things like that. So that's fun too. And that right now the focus is just let's grow that business and see where it leads, and spend time with my family and meet all the other commitments that I have as well.
Well, there is that. There is life on the outside of
There's life on the
LinkedIn. Life outside of LinkedIn, online media is always a challenge at times. It's like literally some days I feel like I could spend all day on LinkedIn. However, it doesn't happen.
It's a time warp. It's a time warp.
Well, yeah, and it is. You do have to monitor what you're doing on there, because, I mean, I have built some truly amazing relationships on LinkedIn, and as a result of making connections, and I can say I actually have friends all over the world that I could, if I were in their city or the country, I could connect with them, and I'm sure that we could sit down and have a meal or a beverage of some sort, and sit down and have a very long conversation, because we feel like we know each other at some level. And to me, that's just an amazing piece of, what we're doing in life. And I just love the fact that we can do that and we can benefit from that. So
I'm with you. I mean, that's the key, right? Is being able to take these conversations offline and do things like this. So.
Well, it's truly relationship based. And the whole point of video for me is it accelerates the opportunity to have a conversation. And I have a system that I can actually connect, and the pirate broadcast is booked all the way through November. And so, and I'm booking December now, and that's a lot of interesting people to me. And I continue to thrive in that environment. And I'm doing some other projects. I got client work and everything going on in life, and it all takes place. However, the beautiful thing about this, though, Rob, is the fact that we can actually learn something from a lot of different people and a lot of different perspectives. And those nuggets of knowledge that we pick up, we can put in our toolbox and carry away and do it for our audience. And I think for yourself, there's a big opportunity in a couple of areas when it comes to videos, highlighting business owners in their business and what they're doing and telling their story, their backstory of why they started business. That could be a really storytelling opportunity that business owners need to think about or consider.
Yeah.
And then, because with social media, you could break that up and you could slice it up into different platforms, tell the story, and highlight that business in a number of different ways. And then the other one is internal to corporations. And I started doing this years ago with podcasts, and doing internal podcasts for businesses, large organizations that could tell other people about what jobs were available internal to the company. So it's almost like an internal, radio station. And because there's a lot of other people, and think of a large company, any large company that has over, a few thousand, 10,000 employees. There's a lot of jobs in those organizations that are completely nobody's aware of them. So it's like, if I knew about this job and I might be interested in it, I might learn more about it, and I could transfer to a new job because I'm really not doing what I want to do right now. However, they're unaware of those jobs. And so anyway, just a couple of thoughts for video.
I think there's so much opportunity, things like that you may never even think about on your own. But yeah, I mean, there's so many potential applications. I think the opportunities are wide open.
Yeah, very wide open. Well, we're going to wrap it up. And I just want to highlight Seth, Vicky, Sherry, Angie, everybody that joined in, and everybody that's, hasn't commented. We've got a lot of people that are doing some amazing things online. And if you find somebody, or you come across somebody that you feel would be valuable on Pirate Broadcast, send them my way. I'd love to learn about new people doing interesting people doing interesting things, and also follow the hashtag Pirate Broadcast. And Rob, what's your hashtag that you're working with now?
Well, hashtag get on camera is what you
get on camera.
Yeah, you can use that for sure.
And also, if you want to get a hold of Rob, you can actually connect with him on Facebook, EQ4 Media, and then it's Rob Deptford on LinkedIn. So thank you so much, Rob, for being here. I appreciate you and all the things that you're doing to help people get on video, because I'm a fan of video.
I know. We have that in common.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, Russ.
Hey, thank you. Have a fabulous day, wonderful week, and kindness is cool. Smiles are free, and you enjoy the day.